Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Canton Select Board meeting for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. Call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. and we are being recorded by Canton Community Television at 7 p.m. Before we get into the agenda, I just want to congratulate Trish Boyden for being successful in her endeavor and running for the board. And I'd also like to congratulate all the other people who not only won, but ran. It takes a lot of work, a lot of courage to get out there and do what they did. And I congratulate them. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Tommy Theodore for over 6 years of dedicated service to the people of this town. So, but Trish, welcome aboard and look forward to working with you and get things done. Thank you. Congratulations. Yes. And there'll be pictures afterwards, I'm sure, with some of your friends if you want. So, the first order of business, Mr. Lockman.
So, Mr. Chair, we have a statement on behalf of the Select Board that I'd like to read before we get to the agenda.
Yes, sir.
The Canton Select Board acknowledges the significant level of public scrutiny on the Canton Police Department and on municipal government. When Police Chief Helena Rafferty was involved in a motor vehicle crash involving a pedestrian in her department-issued vehicle, while off duty, she followed procedure and reported the incident to the town. She remained at the scene, cooperated fully with the Rentham Police Department, and has expressed remorse over the accident. It's been the past practice of the town that we do not publicly announce accidents incurred by town employees. Nevertheless, we understand and appreciate the need to be forthcoming and transparent as it pertains to public safety matters. We pledge, as a board, to be proactive in communicating matters of importance regarding public safety officials and department heads in the future. Most importantly, we wish the person who was struck a speedy and full recovery.
Thank you, Mr. Lockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Lockman.
First on the agenda, we have a public hearing regarding the application for a change of ownership interest for Concert Blue Hill Bevco, LLC, DBA, doing business as Blue Hill Country Club, 23 Pecunit Street. So let me read this.
You're here to represent Blue Hill?
Yes.
Just sit
So-
there. Sit there. Go ahead.
Yep. All right, so let me read this into record. So, Town of Canton legal notice for a public hearing. Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138 of the Mass General Laws as amended that the Canton Select Board, acting as the licensing board for the Town of Canton, will hold a public hearing regarding the application for a change of ownership interest for Concert Blue Hill Bevco, LLC, doing business as Blue Hill Country Club, 23 Pecunit Street, Canton, Mass. 02021. The public hearing will be held on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, on or after 7 p.m. in the Sala Meeting Room, Memorial Hall, 801 Washington Street, Canton, Mass. 02021. Submitted by Michael C. Lockren, the clerk of the Canton Select Board. I move that the board open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to open the hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. Mr. Lockren.
So now we can,
Just introduce yourself if you would, and what this is all about, and we'll make it quick and easy for you.
Sure. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Elizabeth Pisano from Upton, Connell, and Devlin on behalf of the licensee, Blue Hills. This application is to change the upper tier ownership. I've been here in the past to do upper tier ownership changes. There was a private equity firm that purchased 13.5% of another private equity firm that has already been approved in the past. So it's just an upper tier change. It does not affect any daily operations at the country club. Everything will remain the same. It's just an upper tier change. The same people will be running the operations.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
that was the question I got from everybody, is what's going to happen there.
Nothing at all. Nothing that will affect anyone.
Great, thank you. Hearing no further questions, comments, look to close the hearing.
I move that the board close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Mr. Lockren.
I move that the board approve the application for a change of ownership interest for Concert Blue Hill Bevco, LLC, doing business as Blue Hill Country Club, 23 Pecunit Street, Canton, Mass.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks for coming.
Mr. Lockren.
Next, we have a public hearing regarding the application for a new Section 12 general on-premises all alcohol license and application for common victualer license for The Blank Incorporated, located at 480 Neponton Street, number 11B1, Canton, Mass. So I will read this into record. So Town of Canton legal notice public hearing. Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138 of the Mass General Laws as amended, that the Canton Select Board, acting as the licensing board for the Town of Canton, will hold a public hearing regarding the application for a new Section 12 general on-premises all alcohol license for The Blank Incorporated, located at 480 Neponton Street, number 11B1, Canton, Mass. 02021. The meeting will be held on April 9th, 2024, on or after 7 p.m. in the Sala Meeting Room, Memorial Hall, 801 Washington Street, Canton, Mass. 02021. Submitted by Michael C. Lockren, the clerk of the Canton Select Board. I move that the board open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion to open the hearing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, how are
Just
you?
want to introduce yourselves,
Yes,
please.
sure.
You
Hi.
can sit down. Don't worry.
Okay. I've lost my voice, but I'm Amy Carry On. Thank you for having us today here, gentlemen and ladies.
My name is Danielle Volz. I am one of the co-owners at the Blanc Space along with Neil.
Great. Just for the record, I went down there twice today, so if you see a white car, come and then come back a second time. I just wanted to go in and see the place, and
Yeah.
I assume that being in that type of business, I was in for 15 years or so, that if there's no business, you're not there.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, we're not mainly on the weekdays
weekends.
there. Yeah,
Okay, so if you see a white Explorer there, that was me.
yeah.
All right. 1 o'clock and about 1 o'clock.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So tell us what's going on, please.
Yeah, sorry, Chia, I lost her voice. So we are an event venue space. We operate private events, small like birthday parties, kids' birthday parties, small intimate like weddings, things like that. And
Trainings.
Oh, sorry, trainings, corporate events, things like that. And we are interested in pursuing a license there for these events. So
Liquor license.
yes, liquor license.
Okay, any questions from the members of the board?
No, you came before us at the zoning board years back, and
Yes, we
I
did.
see you have another decision from the zoning last week, so they would be duly covered on them, so good luck with everything.
Okay.
You're doing good, that's important.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
You opened up right on the pandemic, if I remember correct.
Yeah, we opened in 2020 and then we
January.
shut down and yeah, so we couldn't really get.
I'm glad you're here.
Glad you're still here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Look for motion to close the hearing.
I move that the board close the public hearing.
Second.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Name and address, name, please.
Yes, Fran Vale, 14 Mountain Ave. I abut 40 Neponton. I just had a question for the owners, just if there was any outdoor space that they were planning on hosting events?
No outdoor space
No
at all.
outdoor space?
There's, I don't know if you, well, like where the space is, we don't have any like outdoor space. It's literally just,
I haven't been back there. but-
yeah, it's kind of back there. So there's just parking. It's literally indoor only.
Yeah.
Our capacity is 80 people. So
Understood. So
smaller events.
I think that answers the second question, if there was going to be sort of the pursuit to like a more of an open engagement sort of, hosting like, I don't know, dances or other sort of social events,
Yeah, we do have social events. We're open to those. and
but
things like-
private events
But
versus
it's all
like
private,
an
so there's no,
advertised.
yeah, there's no public events at all. We don't do any public events. It's
Gotcha.
private only. So if anybody is interested, check us out. You're doing any private events for a
Thank you.
family or
Thank you.
something.
Okay, Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, I'll look for.
I move
motion,
that the
Mr. Lockwood.
board close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to close the hearing. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. Mr. Lockren.
I move that the board approve the application for a new Section 12 general on-premises all alcohol license for the Blanc Incorporated, located at 480 Neponton Street, number 11B1, Canton, Mass.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Again, any further questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Oh,
Thank you. Okay. All right, we keep this.
Thank you, everyone. No, oh, I don't know.
Mr. Locken.
Next, we have an update on the Neponset Region Climate Resilience and Flood Modeling Project. Canton has partnered with 8 other cities and towns in the Neponset River watershed to collaborate on regional strategies to reduce the impacts of climate change. Christine Meany, Stormwater Manager, along with Kerry Snyder, the Managing Director for Community Resilience for Neponset River Watershed Association, will present.
Thank you. See if I can follow these directions.
Supposed to happen.
Well, in the meantime, I'll introduce myself. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Select Board. My name is Carrie Snyder. I'm the Managing Director for Community Resilience for the Neponset River Watershed Association. I have some handouts just about the association and my card for questions afterwards, because I'm going to be going over a lot of information very quickly because I want to be respectful of your very full agenda this evening.
We have it up there.
Okay, as long as everybody can see it.
We had it up there. We had it up there.
Oh,
Kind of here.
close. It's up there now.
All right.
So
It's not
there.
working.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about us first. The Neponset River Watershed Association, for those of you who don't know us, we are a member-supported conservation nonprofit based here in Canton, and we're dedicated to cleaning up and protecting the Neponset River watershed, which includes its tributaries and its surrounding lands. What a watershed is basically it's an area that all drains to the same place. So parts of 14 cities and towns drain into the Neponset River. And we work very closely with all of them, including Canton. Canton has always been a great partner on stormwater management, for example, water conservation and climate resilience work. We do all the things that we do through a variety of different programs, including advocacy. We do resident science. Thank you so much. Habitat restoration, and a lot of public education and outreach. On this project, Molly, my colleague, was unable to join us tonight, but the Metropolitan Area Planning Council is a regional planning agency that covers a whole host of municipalities around, and they've also worked very closely with us and the municipalities in the Neponset River watershed on many of these issues. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about a really ambitious project that we've been working on since August of 2022. But first, I wanted to sort of lay the groundwork and make sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of what we mean when I say climate change. So when I talk about climate change, really, I'm talking about the warming of the planet, and that has several different a variety of different impacts that are related. So one is we're seeing more heat waves, and that is more days above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We're also seeing changes in precipitation patterns. We're seeing a higher percentage of our rain coming down as heavy downfalls rather than sprinkled throughout the year. We're also seeing sea level rise, which doesn't affect us here in Canton, but certainly in our coastal communities in the watershed. We're also seeing more frequent windstorms as the climate changes. So all of these changes have consequences for people, places, and things, as well as the environment. So for example, public health. When we've got more heat waves, that exacerbates medical conditions for people with respiratory issues. Also, children and seniors are at higher risk when it comes to those heat waves. when we see windstorms, we're looking at roadways getting blocked, public safety and first responders not being able to get where they need to, injuries happening. With the changes in precipitation, we're seeing flooding, and our infrastructure in the Northeast is old. It's not built for the capacity that it needs to handle the rainstorms that we're seeing today. And so we risk seeing dams blow out and culverts really getting overwhelmed. So our infrastructure is at risk. We see damage to homes, basement flooding, and overland flooding. And then we also see ecological impacts. So we're seeing vector-borne diseases sort of hanging around for longer seasons and appearing in places that we haven't normally seen it. And we also sometimes will see sewage overflows, and that'll get into recreational areas. It also could contaminate drinking water supplies. So we really want to take a look at all of these impacts, its consequences, and make sure that our communities are prepared to bounce back from these things. So Canton has joined with its neighbors on a regional project. Like I said, it started in August of 2022 through an MVP action grant awarded to the town of Dedham. And we partnered with, so it was the town of Dedham, 12 cities and towns in the Neponset River Watershed, the Neponset River Watershed Association, Weston and Sampson Engineers, and MAPC. And we're all working together as the project team to bring the towns together, because no town can deal with this on their own. It's too expensive. And really the solutions are going to be regional, because the impacts don't stop at the border of any municipality. So what happens upstream in, say, Stoughton or Sharon could impact what's happening here in Canton. So we want everybody talking together, and we were thrilled when we got this grant. So phase 1 was FY23, and now we're in phase 2, which is going to run through FY26. And I just wanted to give you an update on what we've done and where we're headed. So one of the major deliverables from phase 1 was the creation of a computer flood model. It's region-wide, and it incorporates what Canton did in its town-wide flood model in 2021 with Kleinfelder. And what it does is it takes a broad view of the entire region and allows us to identify areas that are at risk for flood events. See it up there in a minute. There we go. On the left is a map, and the change in color shows you the darker the color, the more area that we expect will be flooded come 2070, which is sort of where everybody is sort of projecting. On the right, you're seeing not the area that changes, but the depth. So it might be the same neighborhoods that are getting flooded in 2070, but it might be deeper flooding. So you're getting more water, and you need to take a look at what capacity you need. I'm not sure what's going on up
Just
there.
watch
I
that one
apologize.
behind
Yep.
Watch that one, that was delayed.
Here's just another map of the same model. Ignore the legend for the FEMA floodplain. I couldn't find a FEMA layer for this map. But what the green shows is sort of what we expect could flood today in a 100-year storm. And a 100-year storm is a storm that has a 1% chance of happening in any given year. What is happening, though, in 2070, it's really the 500-year storm that's going to have a 1% chance. So today, a 500-year storm has only a 0.2% chance of happening in any given year. But that's going to change significantly in 2070, and we're going to see it as a 1% chance. So what you see is in the orange is sort of an expanded, where some additional areas are. And so it's not a dramatic map right here, mostly because I couldn't find the FEMA layer, but you do see that there are several neighborhoods that are impacted. What we're going to do in phase 2 is we're going to drill down and sort of overlay critical infrastructure for each of the towns that have partnered on this project. And by doing so, we'll not only see what the higher flood risk is, but we'll be able to prioritize it based on what critical infrastructure is in those areas, and ultimately drill down into 2 or 3 areas by the end of FY26 and come up with some conceptual strategies to reduce the risk of flooding in those areas. So in addition to the flood model, we wanted to get the towns together and thinking about working together on a long-term basis on some of these issues. So what we did was in phase 1, we gathered together municipal employees and we went through all of the municipal plans that you've come up with. So your hazard mitigation plan, your MVP plan, your open space and recreation plan, and looked for all of the shared priorities across all of the partner towns. And then we brought everybody together and had the towns prioritize those shared issues and, sort of trying to figure out what projects were really rose to the top. And by doing that, we came up with this proposed framework. So I'd be happy to send you a link after this meeting, but it's available on our website, and you can see all of the shared priorities. And what we're going to do in phase 2 is we'd like to get everybody together to really formalize and come up with a strategic plan for how the towns can work together. This has already been done in the Mystic River watershed and the Charles River watershed, and so we're a little behind, but we're catching up, and we get the benefit of all of their lessons learned by doing it. So we will be working with Canton. We have a couple of volunteers who have volunteered to be on the steering committee for this. Christine Meany, your stormwater manager, no, you're on the flood steering committee. Your town planner, Mr. Torres, your conservation agent, Ms. Regan, and Tom Birmingham of the Conservation Commission. And then we have also done every year, and we will continue to do this, sort of a workshop on best practices for regulatory updates to make sure that all of the towns are growing in a sustainable manner. Policy updates definitely rose to the top as a shared priority among all of our towns, and so we want to make sure that you're not starting from scratch and you're not alone. And so we're holding our next workshop actually next week on the 17th. And then finally, public engagement is really important. Not only is it important for the program, MVP really wants to make sure that the public is involved, but it's really important for towns to have public support for the projects they want to implement. And it's also really important to make sure that the projects have public input and they are addressing the needs of the community. So we've embarked on a pretty robust public engagement program where we are doing speaking engagements. You can see we did a field trip to see a king tide and really see the impact of sea level rise. We've assembled a community advisory group of residents from all across the watershed. We're always looking for more. So if you're interested, go to our website, neponset.org/climate and apply. I'd love to have you. We've got one member from Canton, Izzy Luca, who's been wonderful, and we're really just trying to empower them to engage in these issues and make sure that everybody is headed in a sustainable direction. So that's a lot. We've got several meetings coming up. We're meeting with our community advisory group is meeting for the 3rd time come May. We'll have our first meeting of this collaborative steering committee in late May or early June. We've got our resilient policy workshop coming up next week. Our flood model workshop meeting is coming up this week. And we will hold a public meeting, which will likely be virtual sometime in early June. I believe it's June 11th, but we'll send out notices and flyers to advertise that. And that is my update. I really just want to thank you for your support and for continuing to be engaged around these issues because it's really important. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer questions now, or I've circulated my card. Please feel free to send me an email or give me a call.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions from members of the board?
Just one quick one. When you look at the water structures, do you guys look at the culverts and the bridges too that can handle these things, or is it just the water bodies themselves?
No, it's all of the infrastructure
All the
too. Yeah.
infrastructure,
So we gathered some additional information about the culverts this year for the start of phase 2, and we'll be looking at some
Have
other.
you done a look at the Canton ones yet? Have you looked at
I
them?
believe they did, and I believe Weston and Sampson is going to be sort of talking about what they found or how they incorporated it into the model in this meeting coming up.
And I'd be interested in finding out what they
Yeah.
found.
We'll be recording the meeting. I can send that around.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Carrie? Anyone else? Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time.
How's Mr. Cook doing? Carrie,
Sorry,
how's Mr. Cook doing?
he's doing wonderfully.
I remember when he first came here.
Yep.
Many years
He's-
ago.
He's still there.
Tell him Canton says hello. Thank you. Mr. Lockren,
So as you see on the agenda, the Article 31 discussion is postponed, so we will move to Article 28. the
for Mr. Snyder's
appropriation-
request, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
The appropriation to fund museum improvements at the Paul Revere Heritage Site. We have Mr. Alan Hines and Mr. Victor Delvecchio to present.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. And congratulations to the two winners.
You're right there, Alan? Looks like you're gonna,
I,
I can see the other guy, huh?
I played basketball with a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds, and I forget at times that I'm 67, and I caught an elbow and 5 stitches in my eye, and
You and
my
Victor been
wife's
having
not
heated
very happy
arguments.
with me right now, so.
Well, Victor doesn't look like he got anything happen to him. That's your story and sticking to it. Thank you, Mr. Hines. Go
But
ahead,
thanks,
sir.
thanks for not bringing attention to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to, right? That's what friends are for, Alan, right?
Exactly. So thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. As I said last time, I apologize for the late timing of discussing this article. We've been working on this for the last 6 months. We wanted to make sure we passed it through the finance committee before we came towards this board. And I really do think when you're here tonight, it's going to be a win-win-win for the town. I'm not going to spend too much time on the first slide, which is what is a DIP. I think everybody on the board knows what a DIP is. But currently, a formulaic approach is being used to fund the district improvements and release the tax revenues to the general fund. And under the current structure, most, as you'll see in a second, most of the revenues are going to fund the district improvements, and very small amount of revenues are actually being released to the town general fund to be used for general purposes. So let me give you an update on the next slide of where things stand with the heritage site. First of all, by all measures, the heritage site and the Plymouth River development has been a tremendous success for the town. Mr. Chair, I know you were on the board when all this transpired in development agreement. You should be commended for what has transpired. We have a beautiful green. We have people enjoying the area. The units are nice. And by all measures, the project was a success. And financially, the tax revenues from the district have far exceeded. I mean, everybody knows what's happening with real estate prices, and the tax revenues have far exceeded what the original projections were. That allowed the town to acquire the historic barn and the mill on an accelerated basis. And under the current budget and plan of what we're expecting, the current DIP sinking fund would accumulate enough money by July 29 to actually finish paying off the improvements and therefore release some money to the general fund in 2030. To give you a sense of what the numbers are, in fiscal year 24, that district has generated about $1.4 million worth of taxes. Only 246,000 actually make it to the general fund for use. 570,000 are paying the debt service on the improvements that have been made so far, and the rest goes into that sinking fund. On the second line, you can see that by 2029, the tax revenues are expected to be over $2 million. And these are numbers put together by Randy, not myself. I have numbers that look even better than this, but I figure I'll use his. And in 2029, by July, we will have collected 5.9, and that would be enough to pay the sinking fund. So you see what happens in fiscal year 30, the town would now have a $2 million increase in their revenues for the general fund. You know, that is a great thing, but the proposal that we want to show you today is that there's a better way to finance this. So on the next slide, I have what our motion is, and I'm not going to read this. I'll explain what the key points into it, but this has been reviewed by town council, and it's been reviewed by bond council to make sure that it satisfies all the legal requirements. Let me explain what this motion is going to do. This motion is going to do three things. First of all, it's going to allow the select board to authorize Revere and Son Trust to make an additional $2 million in district improvements. And we intend to use that to help finance the building in the museum. Just to put that in perspective, the museum originally, when the feasibility study came out, was expected to cost about $5 million. And with inflation, that's now $6 million. Well, we've already have the terrace put on, which is about $1 million bogey, so, which is by the latest amendment. We've raised about $1.5, $1.6 million and have commitments for more. With this $2 million bogey, we would then have a target to finish the museum by doing additional fundraising of about $1.5 million, which we've hired a professional fundraiser, and by all, it's very, very doable. So that's the first thing that it does. The second thing that it does is it authorizes the Canton Finance Director to modify the current DIF funding or financing arrangement and release the excess taxes that aren't used for the district improvements now into the general fund. And what that does is it's going to create a better and more stable financing plan for the town. I mean, if any time you can ask Randy what he would like, what the key element to financing a town is making sure you have a steady amount of money with some growth. Randy presented his model to the finance committee, and I'll let him address this in a second. And with this, if this motion passes, he projected that he could release $850,000 and grow that by 5% over the next couple of years. So tonight we're here asking the select board to support our motion. And this is, we believe, is a win-win-win. It's a win for the Revere and Son. It'll let us finish the project that was identified years ago. It will allow immediate access to the excess funds, and the municipal will be able to share in that excess $850,000 to support some of the funding that was, everyone knows how tough of a budget was this year. And then also the schools would win, because the schools would also share in that $850,000 plus, or again, and that $850,000, that's up to whatever the model. I mean, I've run a model, Randy's run a model, and whatever the needs are when this goes forward, a decision will be made. And the way we've written the article is he would identify that and seek approval from the select board to do that. Randy presented his model to the finance committee. They have supported this. Randy supports this, and I'm going to be meeting with the schools to explain how this would benefit them. So tonight we're asking for the select board to support our motion that we'll be making on town floor in May. So any questions?
Any questions from Mr. McCourt?
I do first. I watched the FinCom, and there was a couple of iffies on the FinCom on this project. And one of the ones that keeps coming to mind is the project cost. That's what I'm concerned
Is the
about,
what?
the project cost. I mean, you have $6 million slated for the actual build out of the museum. And that's a figure that, has it come from the design team?
Yes.
So it's come from the design team, that's a good estimate. But Is there a contingency on that project?
Well,
On
we
that?
already have,
I'm just saying, because the projects we've been working on lately,
well,
contingencies haven't been enough to cover the project.
yeah, but keep in mind, this, as you're developing a museum, these are exhibits and floors of exhibits. I mean,
Yeah.
this is going to, I mean, if we can get the money and get sponsors to help support this, we can do it extremely quickly. But we can continue to build out this museum and grow it as our fundraising.
As it
support.
progresses,
Exactly.
which I
So-
understand, but I
so-
know there was actual construction to the building that you were talking about, a reception area, and you were talking about a hot air entry, you know, different things that that building would need to support it. That's construction costs, right? I imagine they're built into the whole plan. I could just, with the design team. I'm just going from the FinCom's meeting, what their concerns was.
No,
And this is site specific.
Valid.
And I agree with the site specific, I really do, because you could take any project in Canton and do the same difference. You could say, hey, I'm gonna do something, St. John's, and do this. You were creative enough to put this on site specific where this project is started and belonged, and you've worked really hard at it. I'm just really concerned about those construction costs, because the last few projects that we've been on, the BRC and private projects that have gone through the town, they've been underfunded, and it keeps coming back, underfunded, and we have to start projecting more money on these projects so that we don't come back and say to the town, well, we said it was gonna be 6 million, now it's 7. That's a concern. But I would definitely support bringing this to town meeting and support, and I agree with Randy, and I had a discussion with Randy on my own, as to bring in some revenue, well-needed revenue, earlier into the community with this project being funded. So I'm not against it, but I am concerned about the cost. of that
Excuse me, if I could just add one thing. The design teams have been looking at this for now 8 months or so. And the costs aren't your typical vertical construction costs. They're fabrication of exhibit costs. So they're a different creature. I'm not saying they're not subject to inflation, but they're not like the kinds of costs we encounter in the restaurant. They're just very different. And as Alan said, we could phase this with the money we have on each of the floors. We prefer to do it you don't want to sort of whelm people. They come there, they see not much, they get disappointed, they don't come back. So we want to have a wow effect. But I don't think, time will tell, but we have a very good consulting exhibit. And the biggest chunk of it, or a huge chunk of it, has been the design cost.
Yeah.
And as you know, because you participated, as we raised that by way of grants. So that
Definitely,
$600,000 has been already accounted for.
Absolutely.
And the last point I want to make is when you're doing a capital campaign and you're looking for sponsors and partnerships to build some of these exhibits and say, hey, we now will have the seed money to say, hey, if you want to do this $500,000 exhibit, you can put your name on it for $300,000 and we'll kick in the other two. And so that's how you really make a capital campaign go forward. And we've been working with a capital campaign specialist over the last year and to prepare for this. So this will really jumpstart our fundraising in the corporate space.
Thank you.
Mr. Lockron?
So I have a couple of questions. So in one of the slides, it talked about $2 million for district improvements, which is vague, right? Like, so what are you doing with it? And I know it's to complete the museum and that's the goal. So can you forward to the select board, what is the exact cost from where you are now to what it's going to take to finish it, right? In the ideal world, that's what you're trying to do. So do we have those official plans and cost estimates so that we know that if we approve this 2 million, that this is it? What are the funding sources and the amounts received so far? Can that come to the select board? I know, Mr. Hines, you just mentioned private donors and matching funds and stuff. But are those lined up like a typical grant, like, hey, we'll give you 300,000 if you're matching that? Or do we need to give the 2 million and then you hope to get corporate sponsors or private donors to kind of match that? And then the part that I struggle with, and Mr. Hines, we talked about this a little bit. The original diff, I don't think mentioned the museum. And so now we're kind of modifying an existing diff to kind of like make this work. And I understand we talked to town council and we can make it work. But it just seems like we're jamming a square peg into a round hole here. Like, you know, have we ever authorized the select board or the finance director to modify an existing diff financial arrangement? I don't know.
Maybe I can answer some of these questions. We only have had one diff in the history of the town of Canton, and that's the diff we created in 2015. The district allows for any improvement in the district.
Okay.
We're not forcing a peg into a round hole. For example, in 2016, the select board voted to purchase the land that Eversource Station sat on. That wasn't discussed in the original 2015 either, but it's an improvement to the district for the purpose of putting some more parking. For example, the select board just approved the payment of a bond to put bathrooms, to pay for bathrooms in the mill, to pay for a bridge across the diversion channel, to pay for pathways. None of this was mentioned in the diff. The diff is broad and says simply improvements to the district, which is why all the 15, 16, and now the 24 votes have been passed by both town council and bond council.
Yep.
And they both said that this is an appropriate legal form.
Okay.
So that's not an issue.
Okay.
And to your question on our funding, we were intending to do an annual report as part of the town meeting. Because, we are not we will have a more detailed financial presentation of what we've done to date, like we did last year at town meeting. But we'll do a special one and invite the select board and finance committee and the town to see the great things that are being done that area.
That'd be great.
But I will send you some stuff in addition.
And
to that.
regarding the design plans, that's been underway, as I said, for the last 8 months. So we have a much better sense now. Since this has to conclude, our design contract that we entered with the town and the designer has to conclude by June. So we're well on our way to what the final will look like. And it still is within the parameters of what they originally estimated. So we have the design plans. I'm happy to share them. In fact, as you recall, you were at the gala. We presented those, and those haven't changed much since. We're working on the details now. And the funding sources are the
See,
ones.
I have my mask on, so
I remember that. And the funding sources are those that we've shared also. I mean, including the town's contributions. We've raised about $2.3 million so far.
Yep.
So there's money that we've been parking there for this purpose, like the revolving account 142. By the time we need to dip into the money, we should have 300,000, 350 sitting there. And the whole purpose, as you know, of the rent from the restaurant was solely to fund the museum. That's the only reason why we had that there. And so far, we've been keeping it. You know, the only money you guys appropriated so far was a small amount for a peer review of the barn once Canton Holdings wanted to pass it off to us. So we have funds and money sitting there waiting for us, but the $2 million is what we need to really bring this over the goal line.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Mr. Murphy.
Hi, Greg Murphy, Canton. General question, because when Mr. Delvecchio met with myself and the members of the Canton, the Capital Planning Committee a couple months ago to discuss the capital request for the Fall River Heritage Society, we had asked the question, a general question, if they anticipated that PRHS would ultimately be a net revenue generator for the town. And the way I understood the response is that it should be considered like every other department in the town, and that it would actually involve net expense every year. The presentation you showed talked about money going back to the general fund come 2029 or later. So I guess the question I have is, has what we learned 2 months ago changed, or am I misunderstanding?
That's a very good question. No, nothing's changed. What Alan was describing was the district sinking fund. All the tax revenues by virtue of a district created under mass law has to be pumped into that district. And what we're proposing is allow it to be distributed more quickly. What you're asking was, is a museum a net revenue generator? And typically they're not. I've said this repeatedly at any meeting I've been at. They don't necessarily, that's not to say that we're not going to charge a modest fee and we're not going to do everything we need to do as we have with fundraising, but that's a different generation of revenue. These are tax revenues. These are revenues that will and should go to the general fund. We're simply trying to make it a win-win. So we finish the project and the town gets access to it more immediately. They don't have to wait 6, 5, whatever years. They can do it now.
So ultimately, probably I heard you say, is like another town department. It will continue to require expenditure.
It's a unique,
Okay, thank you for
not
clarifying.
town department, but related to town. I always say
No, I
team,
know.
team Canton. That's how I describe it. That's really it. We're simply agents for the select board or for the town.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah, Peter Hennessy, Sumner Street, Canton. Why would the town want to get in the museum business when we know that it's not a very good business? Well, why would the town get in any business other than maybe taking care of schools, fixing roads, things like that?
Well, I mean, the easy answer is that's the direction the town took in 2015 when they created this district. Because the whole purpose of the district was to rehabilitate 40 acres of land, create 272 residential units, generate anywhere from $1.25 to $2.75 million on an annual basis. That all came about because of the revitalization of a contaminated wasteland. And the other side to it is we were going to make it appealing to the rest of the community. We weren't just going to have houses there. We were going to have a place where people can enjoy 30,000 people a year. That's like what we have currently using that green. And now we want to create a museum which will have tourism value, which will benefit the community as historic Canton. It's a good news story. We want to finish the project.
And that decision was made right after we acquired the building. I mean, the three options that were vetted at the time was using administrative buildings for the schools. That was John Paniangio's plan. There was a youth rec center and then a museum, and the museum fit well within what the structure was, because then it would potentially increase the value of the buildings that were there and improve the district in a way, and then have a different form of entertainment in the area, which, you know, right now we have sports up, we have more sports in this town, and this is for arts and history and passive recreation. And that's what the decision was back then. And we're just following the goal and trying to do the best we can with that decision.
And related to that, if I could, Mr. Chairman, the select board hired a consulting group back in 2016. They issued a report in 2017. They updated that report in 2021. They were consulted on. And that group said, you have a variety of uses. A museum can work here. Don't think it's going to be, you know, bringing in millions of dollars a year. It isn't going to do that, but it's going to be a fundamental benefit, underscoring tourism in this community. And you'll get many, many people to come enjoy it, particularly your residents. So that's why we did. The trust was only created in 2020. We were handed the baton, and we're taking it and continuing the race.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, guys. It's awesome. I'm glad you've done such a great job there.
Thank you.
Well, what I plan on doing is taking under advisement for tonight, because it's the first time we're hearing. We always do that in the first go around. And just remember, ultimately, no matter which way this board goes, the ultimate decision is that of town meeting. So, but I plan on doing that, and this board will make a decision on the 30th.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask if you are considering it in one of your future meetings, we're going to meet with the school committee, and they're going to ask us, because when I tried to schedule a meeting, they want to know what the select board's position is. So we would ask if you could render a decision, hopefully supportive, before we meet with the school committee, because they wanted us to answer that question. And we can't answer that, obviously, unless we get a decision.
This is the first time we're seeing this presentation.
Sure.
So traditionally, we wait to the presentation, we take our advisement, go through it again and again. And, when are you going before the school committee?
I think they're on the 29th of April.
So we meet on April 30th. So the 29th?
I think that's their date, but
That's
I
Tuesday.
believe that is too.
I mean, so normally, I thought, okay, I can talk to the superintendent, but I don't, what's as I said, normally we take things under advisement. It's the first time we're seeing it, the senior proposal. You know, we haven't seen it, to be fair, to the members and to the public. So.
One other thing, Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, we have one other matter quickly to bring to you so that we, if you would take us out
Yes,
of
sir.
order.
Absolutely.
And that's the Heritage
You don't
Festival.
want to stay?
I really do enjoy these meetings. And having been through them for a number of years, I would graciously decline. But on May 18th, we'll have our third annual Heritage Festival at the Heritage site. It's going to be bigger and better. We'll have 70 vendors. We'll have 10 food trucks. Hopefully, we'll have live performances. We'll have a children's area. We have a copper exhibit in the mill and in the barn. We have a variety of inflatables for the kids to play on. Next week, I and our program program coordinator, Allison Neff, will meet with police, fire, DPW, and the building inspector. So as we have the last 2 years, so we'll do that. We're asking for your approval to use the larger portion of the green in conjunction with the portion that the trust manages. We're asking for approval of an entertainment permit so we can have folks singing and playing some music, but it's not rock bands. It's just, you know, acoustic stuff basically. And we'd like a waiver of the $50 entertainment fee if you don't mind. So those are the three things. It's going to be again on May 18th from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m., rain or shine. Hopefully last year,
No rain, no
it
rain,
rained.
no rain.
I'd like to invite you all to please attend, say some things during the course of the affair. And we have access, as you know, to the parking lots at the 2 MBTA commuter spots. So we will give them notice and invoke that right by way of the license. And I'll copy Charlie, of course. And we're looking forward to a great non-rain day.
I think the board can support that, absolutely.
So if you need to take a motion, or is that?
Yeah, we need to take a
We have
motion. Do you want to?
Any questions?
Any questions from the, Ms. Lombardi?
Yes. What I read, I just want to clarify, I know you're looking for support from the select board. What I read was that the FinCom and the finance director have approved your recommendation?
Yeah, well, Randy's right here. So Randy,
Yes.
Okay,
FinCom
so
votes.
but that's what I read up there,
yes,
right? So that's a plus, that's a plus.
We've gone before the finance committee, shared the model. They voted 7-1 to support our motion.
Perfect. And I have seen the museum that's there right now. It's beautiful. It's
Thank you.
beautiful. And it's the whole complex, if we look at what it was and what it is today, it's beautiful. And the revenue that does come in is from the tax dollars. And so we're not looking for revenue necessarily from the museum. We get the revenue from all those condos, people coming to the dog park and is that dog park? Who knows? But anyway, you know the dog park.
That's down the
The
road.
dog park. Okay, I don't want to let sleeping dogs sleep. But, you know, I mean, it's beautiful. And so I'm happy that they support it, and I hope you guys will support it too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Loughlin?
So in response to the request from Revere and Son Heritage Trust for the waiver of the 40-day, one-day entertainment fee, so 40, not 50. I move that the board approve the application for the one-day entertainment for the Canton Heritage Festival to be held at 2 Rolling Mill Way, including the entire town-owned park at the Heritage Site on May 18, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And request for one-day entertainment fee waiver contingent upon building commissioner, police chief, fire chief approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Alan, one last thing. How's the bathrooms coming? We're on.
So the bathrooms were scheduled to be delivered this week. And the installer, the crane guy that is putting in, has not connected with our contractor to get that done. The last communications, Bernie was working with the building is ready to be shipped and delivered. Bernie was asking if they get a credit, he could get somebody to drop it in. I understand that they've been communicating to set a date. As soon as I have that date, install date, I will let everyone know. But everyone, they know that the goal is to have those bathrooms functioning for Heritage Day.
Okay, good.
Progressive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lockron.
Next, Mr. Chair, we have a review of contract proposals for our waste and recycling programs. So I don't know if Mr. Duty wants to tee
Yeah.
us off or
Yeah, why don't
Collins.
I'll tee it up for our finance director. So as you know, we solicited proposals for the town's trash and recycle collection. And we had two bidders. One bidder was the company that currently does our trash, and that's Republic. And we had a second bidder, Waste Management, that currently handles our recycling. So we have received the bids, evaluated them. Randy's done an analysis, cost analysis of both bids. So I asked him to join us to kind of review for us where they both landed, so you all can deliberate and decide which way you want to go.
Thank you, Mr. Town Administrator. So the town issued requests for proposals for a 5-year contract for solid waste and recycling services back in November of 23 for the service period July 1st, 2024 to June 30, 2029. The state does not require that this type of contract be bid, but the town administrator decided it was in the town's and the taxpayers' best interest to do so. So it was put out to bid. The town had 2 respondents, as town administrator stated, the incumbent, Republic, and Waste Management, but they're also an incumbent. They handle the town's recycling disposal currently. That was an arrangement that was put in place about 4.5 years ago. The reviewing team, town administrator, executive secretary, and finance director reviewed the proposals, costed them out. We had multiple meetings with the vendors to ensure we had captured their proposals accurately, as there are several cost components to this contract and an equal amount of variables. Once we were confident we understood the cost of each proposal, we compared them and determined by the end of December that Waste Management's total 5-year bid cost was $13,413,000 and change. Republic's total 5-year bid cost was $15,096,000 and change. So the result was Waste Management being $1,683,000 more favorable. The town administrator informed Republic that the proposal was materially higher. The Republic proposal was materially higher than the other proposer, and asked if they wanted to revise their bid, which is allowable in this non-regulated procurement. And please note, specifics of the competing proposal were not disclosed. Over 60 days, Republic twice revised their bid down by $1,147,000 initially, and then by an additional $39,000. The end result being a final bid from Republic of $13,905,000 and change, which was $497,000 higher than Waste Management's final proposal of $13,407,000. There are 3 other additional, albeit much smaller, components of the pricing where Waste Management bid lower costs. Bulk collection and disposal per ton was $42.28 less on average over the 5 years, and Waste Management's proposal of 52% less. White goods collection and disposal per item, $24.33 on average, less than Republic, or 33% less. And mattress and hard-to-manage items, $2.63 less on average, or 2% by less than Republic. So lastly, I would say, given how how tight the town's operating budgets are, it would be helpful in efforts to keep downward pressure on the town's expense structure to take this approximately $500,000 cost savings. It would materially contribute to the town's ability to sustain service levels in the operating budgets. And opportunities to save this figure, the 6-figure sum in the town's budgets, is not common, as most cost savings come in much smaller increments.
That's spread out over 5 years, correct?
Correct.
The board first, Ms. Lombardi.
No, that's okay. I just scared of
Mr. McCourt.
Yeah, just in reviewing the numbers, I was finding out that Republic on the disposal on their tons assumed was like almost 1,300 tons more than Waste Management. And I was looking also at costs additional that Waste Management might have over the tonnage. So I was how that weighed out in that 500,000 at the end of the 5 years was a concern to me. If they're gonna charge us more for the tonnage over the assumed tonnage that they have, 5,326 tons assumed, and our current disposal company has 6,574 tons consumed, and I would say the 6,574 would be more accurate as they're doing our current.
That's great. Excellent point, Mr. McCourt. So in refining our understanding of the numbers with both vendors, Waste Management made it clear that they had their roll-off cost included the difference that you're citing, the 1,248 and a half tons is associated with the roll-off, or option 7 in our proposal, whereas Republic had actually blended the two together. They
So
did not
that's where
provide
that
it.
1,200, okay.
Right, so you can understand
'Cause I
how,
was looking at that number too, that they rolled it right in. I get that.
right, and so you can start to understand the
Okay.
complexity in trying to compare the two bids, where
Yeah, it was
one
just-
blended it and the other one actually split it out.
Thank you for clarifying that. And the other concern I have by moving to a different vendor is that Republic's been serving us for years now, and we haven't had major difficulties with them. They also serve the municipal buildings, the housing authority buildings. They do that. They also have all their containers, dumpsters, everybody's home now. So the transition from company A to company B would seem to be a bit chaotic for, I would say, the first 6 months of this, anyhow, with the transitions of barrels, what have you. And I think for the 500,000 over 5 years would be well spent to keep our container service in our Republic as is, to give us the services that we're used to. We've changed bus companies in the schools. We've changed companies across the board, and sometimes it doesn't favor a desire of what we're looking for. So I myself, am speaking highly of Republic to keep them in service. So that's where I'm going with that.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
So-
Mr.
Chair, just,
Collins?
I don't disagree with anything Mr. McCourt said, other than just want to be clear that the trash cart and the recycle carts, the town owns those,
Right.
so there's no swapping out of those.
Yeah, Mr. Aspinwall, that was the last go-around.
Correct.
Correct. Mr. Lockren?
Sure. So as we know, we just finished the budget cycle, and when we're done paying salaries and contracts and everything, we had $340,000 for all of the requests that came in. How many positions did we not fill because we didn't have the money to do it? And they're all valid requests. If we can save money on the trash contract, I don't see why we don't do it. This is not, Mike Loughran startup trash company. This is Waste Management, one of the biggest ones in the nation. They know what they're doing. I completely agree with you because I know of the growing pains when the schools switch the buses. But we're just talking about trash pickup, and it averages $100,000 a year savings. That's something I think that we should be considering.
Thank you. Mr. Albert?
Yeah, I would just add to that, what Mr. McCourt said is that we've had this company for 20 plus years. It's definitely a savings, $100,000 a year over 5 years, but they've been really good to us in changing now. For me personally, not that that's not a lot of money, Mr. Loughran. It sure is 100,000, a year, and I feel the pain of the budget and the things we had to cut. But for me personally, with the size of a budget that we have, and for me, I'm not changing. I just feel like I would rather just stay with what we have. That's just my personal belief.
Thank you, Ms. Boyden.
I'm all for change. Change is good. And if the barrels stay the same, did you say they stay the same?
They do.
Then whatever, it's fine. We had growing pains with Republic when they changed, and they had the thingy on the, the trash,
Yeah, the forklift thing, yeah.
that because we were on a one-way street. So they didn't pick up our trash. And I remember calling the town hall saying, what the hell, and whatever. So the point is, there's always little situations and issues, and since then they've been fine. But yeah, I say we do it and save some money.
Thank you. I was on this board when we didn't have, back then they were BFI, then they were Allied Waste, now they're Republic. Before they came to the town, it was a disaster. And in my opinion, over the years I've been here, people want public safety, schools, they want trash, because if that trash doesn't get picked up, the phones rings off the hook to the DPW, to my house and other homes here. It's very important. And the other thing is that snow and ice, when it snows, they want the streets plowed and sanded to make it safe. So I, for one, I don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. I support waste. I support Republic. I get a lot of calls from people, and I reach out to the management, and they call me back. I'm on a first name basis with them. Not that that means a lot, but they say they'll do something, they do it, and if they don't do it in a timely manner, I call them back. So it is a lot of money, but I don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. And that's just my opinion. You got to spend money to make money, and you got to keep the residents happy. And waste management's still going to do recycling.
Yes.
So they'll still do that, even though Republic picks it up. So that's going to stay the same if we go with Republic.
Yeah.
So I would support Republic because it's not always greener on the other side of the hill. And Waste Management is a fine company. I've heard nothing. I did do some research on my own, and there were a couple towns in the South Cove that weren't too happy, and that happens everywhere. So that's my view on it. As I said, that I don't want to go down that road where it was 25, 30 years ago. So, Ms. Lombardi?
Yes, so listen, I have some great news. I'm in agreement with you, Chris, and JR. So I'm very happy. And this is, I know it's amazing, but I'm in agreement with you guys. So listen, I know costs are important. You know, I've overseen budgets just like you guys, and costs are important. And $500,000 is, you know, nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, that's $500,000. But as you said, this company was Allied and then Republic, and it was a bunch of mergers. These people who have been picking up our trash, we have a relationship with them. They have been picking up our trash for 30 years. 3 guys have been picking up our trash for 30 years. And I have watched them the 45 years, I've been here 45 years, I've been watching them for 30 years, okay, that they have been here. They go over and above all the time. And how many people know the name of their trash guy? It's Joey, right? Exactly. It's like Cheers. Everybody knows their name because they've been with us for 30 years. So I understand that. I support Republic. And what I would like to know, perhaps, Mr. Conley, you can ask Mr. Scollins, you know, have we done any analysis? Like I hear, you know, I know, because I've been involved in sustainability projects, that the waste, you know, costs more to dispose of than the recycling. So have we done any kind of analysis to say, if we can motivate this community to recycle more and really educate this community and put up metrics to say, this is the goal and how can we do it together as a community and how can we close the gap on costs? Because costs are costs, but in the trash removal, we have the ability to reduce the cost of the waste because it costs significantly more to reduce it. Maybe you could ask Mr. Scollins, how much does it cost per pound or tonnage for waste versus recycle? We can do something to close the gap and reduce costs for the community.
Mr. Chair, just one
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Both companies have put out in their proposals public awareness and an aggressive trash recycling information. They're both of the new proposals, because that's one of the biggest problems in all communities.
Yeah.
Is people don't know what to throw in either bins, and it becomes an issue. But both proposals have that in it.
And I think that's great. And I think we should take it to a higher level. I think we can take it to a higher level and not only just give the information to them, because let's face it, it's trash, right? Who gets excited about trash? Me. okay? Because I can reduce my costs and increase my revenues. So maybe we can, and Mr. Duty, I'm happy to help in any way I can,
Thank you.
okay? Get something together so that we can educate the community to increase recycles, to reduce the cost of trash removal, and everybody's happy, and we get to keep the company that we've had for 30 years. These guys have been with us for 30 years. It's a relationship that we don't want to lose.
Thank you. Ms. McDermott. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Body.
Mr. Chairman, and the rest of the select board. Patricia McDermott, 225 Sherman Street. I'm also a member of the Sustainability Committee. I can tell you, we have tried to educate the public, and we actually have a meeting this evening to discuss further about how we can do more education. We are going to be having a table at the Mass Audubon Earth Day event, along with Sustainability Climate Action, to discuss things like that. We are trying our best to educate. We've had Republic in the past do a public speaking session. I know Carolyn Elcourt had arranged that last time. We're discussing possibly doing that again. I can tell you, I am the crazy lady that wants to get out of my car when I see plastic in the recycling bins and pull it out. But my mother-in-law, of course, pulls me back in and tells me I can't do that because we don't need the police called because I've gone through somebody's personal trash. But anyway, it is something that the Sustainability Committee is aware of, and we've apprised the town administrator as well as the select board several times. We are trying to educate people, but it really is up to the public to actually learn how to recycle. But we're happy to keep doing programming.
Thank you. And
If I can, I wasn't being critical. I was just saying, let's raise it up a notch because now we're at a crossroad here. Do we get to keep the people that we love, or do we go with behind door number 2?
Exactly.
Do you know? So I'm not saying I've seen the education. I'm saying let's take it up. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
thank you. And I'd be remiss again if I didn't say, more than once I'll get a call from a neighbor or from somebody else and say, I didn't get it out in time. What can I do? And I'll call the folks at Republic, and they'll send the drivers back. I'm not saying Waste Management won't do that. They probably will, but why take a chance? And everybody knows Joe. And, yeah, everybody does. And he's the face of our Republic. And as I said earlier, it's not always greener on the other side of the hill. Yes.
Hi, Kristen Newton, Farm Street. I guess I would just urge that it sounds like there's some, differences of opinion, certainly, but I guess what I would urge the select board to think about is the change question here, right? So it sounds like you're going to come up with a lot of these things over the year. Are we going to save money, or are we going to change and save money, or are we going to stay the same? And I think that, whether we're for or against change, it's going to happen. And sometimes there's growing pains, but a lot of times you can put measures in place to prevent those growing pains. So just wanted to make that point.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this has been waiting since, what do you go back to October? November. So unfortunately, we have to make a decision soon because the contract runs out June 30th. July 1st is the new year. So we have to, whoever the bidder is, we have to let them know. We should have let them know before. So what's the will of the board?
Motion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it sounds like the majority prefer Republic, so I'm going to structure the motion that way. So I move that the board proceed with Republic Services for our solid waste and recycling program pending successful contract negotiation.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Wait, aye.
Nay.
I vote too.
So three to two. So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So just so on the record. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Collins, for your hard work. And I know
And
you
Mr.
did a good
Duty.
job. And don't take it personally. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Charlie, for your hard work. And Jen, there's Jen. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lockren.
Next, Mr. Chair, we have the Select Board Operating Procedures Review, the Administrative Code, Part 1. So Ms. Chameleon is going to give a brief description, and we will review this and approve at a future meeting.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just so
everyone's aware, this is the first part of a comprehensive review of the administrative code. The administrative code was written over 20 years ago as a set of policies to provide a framework of the operations of the select board. And over time, policies have been approved and added to the administrative code, and it kind of morphed into the document that it is right now. And it's a little disorganized and a little outdated. So we are taking a look at it and updating the language. And right now we're breaking it into parts. So this is part one. It's the first 4 policies that's in the document that's entitled Administrative Code. And the first 4 policies are the establishment of policies and procedures. That's basically a policy on how to develop policies. Powers, duties, and obligations of the select board. Policy on communication, and policy on convening and conducting executive session. So as a part of the update, the language has been, in the policies have been modernized. We removed any gender-specific language and any outdated language. The policies have been simplified. The intent of the policies is the same, just with less words. And the current practices have been incorporated and the outdated practices have been removed. In other words, like, so the select board used to meet 3 times a month. Now they really only meet twice a month. So I tried to take any of the outdated practices and remove them. So I'm asking you to take it under consideration. And if you have any questions.
Give you a call. Okay. Any questions from Ms. Chameleon right now?
Not at this
We'll
time.
take it under advisement and get back to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Ms. Lockwood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Chameleon, I'm sorry, are you doing the social media update too? You are not? Okay.
Who's doing it?
Oh. Okay, just gonna keep you there while you were, okay. Next on the agenda, consider approving an application to change officers and directors for EET Group Incorporated, doing business as Canton Auto Gallery on its Class 2 dealer's license.
Yep. You folks here from, you here from Auto Gallery?
Come on up.
God bless you.
Hello, how are you? Let's have a seat.
Just introduce yourselves if you would, folks.
My name is Abraham Ninin.
And what's your position in the company? Your position in the company?
I'm a shareholder manager.
He's going to be sure. He's going to be 50% partnership. He's going to run the whole show. He's the main chef. Again, my name is Sanjay Karamore.
Sir, could I just have you go to that microphone? So
Yes,
we can hear you, but the
Yeah.
people
Oh,
at
really?
home.
Yeah, people at home.
So just if you stand at that microphone right there.
That's not.
Thank you.
This is the.
What's that?
What's this?
This is Spice
the
Arts.
restaurant.
This is the
Oh, are you
restaurant.
here for Spice?
Oh, that-
Yes,
Spice.
No problem, we can do that too.
All right.
No, I can do that too.
You're not selling cars, are you? Are you selling cars?
How about the?
That's what we call it.
That's okay.
But stay right there.
Right.
We'll
Stay-
we'll
stay
do you
right
while you're
there.
there.
Yeah, we can take care of it.
I am in a car business, but that's fine. I'm
Not this business, right?
This business. I wish.
Stay right there. We'll get you in and out.
So that's got to be a first.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So
right.
hearing nobody from EET Group or Canton Auto Gallery, I move that the board approve an application to change officers and directors for EET Group Incorporated, doing business as Canton Auto Gallery on its Class 2 dealer's license.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion, comments, concerns?
Yeah, why would they change it? And I mean, have they paid their taxes? Are they okay humans? Have we looked into everything?
Yes.
Are they- Okay.
Yes, so, Mr. Chair, so
Yes, sir.
they applied through the office, and they've submitted all their paperwork. Everything is in order.
Okay.
So yeah, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Just one footnote to that, Trish, is that the building inspector went out there and he had an issue and they corrected the issue. So
Okay.
we're all square.
Yeah, a couple, and we go right with his recommendation 10 out of 10 times.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I made the motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, 5-0.
All right.
Now, next.
Next.
Start over.
Well said. Thank you.
No, that's
No,
not
no,
that.
this is
No.
Spice
Tim,
Art.
No,
It's
no,
my sauce.
Aye.
Tim. Them.
No.
no.
Tim.
No.
No,
Who's these?
this is
This is
the
Spice
restaurant.
Art. It's
Oh,
a
okay.
restaurant with fit
Stay right there.
Stay right there.
One's
You're good.
car, one's
All right.
restaurant.
All right, so next on the agenda is to consider approving an application for a common victualer's license for Spice Art at 588 Washington Street, which is the former Fit Fuel location. All right,
The old Jim's Variety.
Gotcha.
the old Jim's Variety. All right, now you can introduce yourselves.
My name is Abraham Ninan. I'm one of the partners. And
I'm Shilpa Kermode, wife of Sanjay, and I'm also in a partnership with Mr. Raji.
And
Yeah.
again, my name is Sanjay. I'm been in this country 26 years. I live in Sharon, Mass. So Canton is a town, seems like has a lot of diversity and a lot of good community. And seems like there's no Indian restaurant around Sharon area. So I think so this is a better opportunity to us to serve, show the Indian ethnic food to this community, and hope so we make it out of this.
Sure, what's your time frame, sir?
So we're going to open morning around 10 to 9, but the restaurant gets closed once a week, so 6 days a week.
And what date are you looking to get in there?
Hoping this 15th April.
Oh, wow.
I know we prepared. We have everything set up right away. We are in a ready to go kind of. We have so many everything. We made it like every license we have. So
Not everyone, but.
not but everybody just but pretty much
Stand
we're
by.
we're still holding that.
All right.
So
April 15th.
April 15th is our goal. So as soon as you guys,
This Monday, Marathon Monday.
oh, I love to run that too. I hope.
I can see your sneakers.
I do 9 miles, 10 miles a day. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and these are gonna, mostly a couple tables or mostly takeout?
It's mostly takeout. So our goal is not the table. So at the moment, we are just going to do the takeout.
Okay. Great, and good luck.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
best of luck to you.
Yeah, is there a motion, Mr. Loughren?
So I move that the board approve an application for a common victualer's license for Spice Art located at 588 Washington Street.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0. Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we sign over here.
It's on my back. Mr. Loughren.
Next, we have a social media policy review, and I will defer to Mr. Duty because Ms. Chameleon said he has to do it.
Okay. So this, much the same vein as Ms. Chameleon talked about the administrative code policies, we're also updating human resource policies as well. So we've operated under a social media policy for many years here, and it's never been updated. So this is simply our effort to update the social media policy so it's more current. You know, there aren't sites like MySpace there anymore, so we're taking those things out. And then the other thing that this is trying to accomplish is some organization to how departments manage their social media sites. So instead of a department head kind of on their own setting up a social media site, that this policy will require them to kind of come through the MIS director, who is the overseer of the social media accounts in town, make sure that the passwords get changed periodically, all those things that are important for security on your social media. So this policy seeks to do that via its update. It's really nothing earth shattering, but it brings some clarity to how departments should be using social media.
Great. Any comments or questions?
There are other towns that obviously have social media policies similar to this.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry if you said that.
Great, thank you.
So we're just asking you to take it under advisement until the next meeting, so you have a chance to review it.
Thank you. Mr. Loughren.
Next, this is to consider the reappointment of members of boards and committees. So give me just a second, bring this up. So this list has to do with everybody whose term expired that is currently on a board or a committee in town. We reached out to them. We talked about this at a previous select board meeting. The select board's office sent letters out to each member asking if they were still interested. And so we are going to reappoint all of these effective tonight. So I believe I have to read them all into record, Mr. Duty.
It's a long list, but you've done it before.
Right, hang on, everybody. So first on the list is the traffic committee. So I'm going to push that for a minute and I'll circle back to that. So cable license, I'm sorry, do I need to make a?
Traffic committee, are you going to circle back to that? Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So I move that the board reappoint members to the many boards and committees on this list. So on the cable license renewal committee, Louis Jutras, Charles Duty, and Tanya Willow. The Canton Veterans Council, Frank Lavalita. The Animal Inspector, Stacy Nee. The Comprehensive Water Resource Management Plan, Regan Milani, Alan Rappaport, Mike Trotter, Charles Duty, Chris Sykes, Randy Scollins, and Sean Robinson. Custodian of Tax and Title, Randy Scollins. The Economic Development Committee, Trishma, Allen, Emilio Morrow, Gene Manning, Alan Rappaport, Mindy Millman, Bill Wolfson, Tara Cull, Greg Murphy. The Health Insurance Advisory Committee, Charles Duty, Randy Scollins, Jody Middleton, Diane Tynan, Jane Consalvi, James Galanis, Tamara Stock, Lieutenant Charles Ray, Kimberly Willett, Robert Collins, Courtney Gabry, and Derek Folan. The liaison to the State Ethic Commission, Charles Duty. The MBTA Advisory Committee, Christopher Pajerski. The Master Plan Implementation Committee, Peg Mead, Michael Norris, Emilio Morrow, and James Quigley. The Mapping Commission, Louis Jutras, Michael Trotta, Kelsey Quinlan, Alphonse Coca. The Parking Clerk, Tracy Kenny. The Superintendent of Fire Alarms, Fire Chief Wendell Robery. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, Police Chief Helena Rafferty, Amy Peterson, Nicola Gallagher, Joan Schottenfeld, Alan Rappaport, Sherry Herzog, Matthew Masciarelli, Naomi Akan, Melanie Martin. The Permit Advisory Committee, Charles Duty, Robert McCarthy, Ed Walsh, Greg Pando, Regan Milani, the Deputy Chief Thomas Kelleher, the Fire Chief Wendell Robery, Gene Manning, Taylor Torres, and James Quigley. The Reservoir Pond Advisory Board, Deputy Police Chief Thomas Kelleher, Fire Chief Wendell Robery, William Walsh, David Cahill, Scott Winter, Pauline O'Leary, Julie Moffett, Janet Deneau, Robert Gorham, and Marsha Armando. The Sick Bank Committee, Ellen Jones, Karen Lawler, Mark Zaid, Diane Tynan, Jody Middleton, Susan Musto, and Tamara Stock. And the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan Committee, Taylor Torres, Christine Meany, Tom Birmingham, Brianna Abend, Alan Abend, Jennifer Wexler, Jennifer Collins, Matthew Masciarelli, Isabella Luca, Kathleen O'Connell, Stephen Colson, Tim Calabrese, Greg Murphy, and Patricia McDermott. Thought I was done. I know. Water and Sewer Rate Policy Committee, Mike Trotta as the DPW Superintendent Rep, Mike Trotta as the MWRA Rep, Patricia Cawley, Randy Scollins, David Emhart, and Chris Sykes. The Beautification Committee, Helen McCowell. The Canton Cultural Council, Mary Beth McCabe. The Community Preservation Committee, David Emhart, George Camo, Dave McCarthy. The Commission on Disabilities, Heather Cahill. The Constables, Police Chief Helena Rafferty, Deputy Police Chief Thomas Kelleher, Deputy Police Chief Patty Sherrill, and Paul Close. The Conservation Commission, Thomas Birmingham, Robert McDonald. The Council on Aging, Ellen Donovan, Rich Koulis, and Janet Walred. The Registrar of Voters, Tracy Kenny. Walk, Bike, and Hike Committee, Patricia McDermott. Massport Advisory Committee, James O'Farrell. CASA Alliance Against Substance Abuse, Tyler Radicioni, Adam Hughes, Derek Folan, Harriet Burak, Janet Donnelly, Mike Mahan, Diane Tynan, Victoria Di Maria, Carolyn Elcourt, Barbara Caselli. Now we're almost done. Sustainability Committee, Katie Clark, Angelica Mayman, Patty McDermott, Patricia McDermott, sorry. Zoning Board of Appeals, Brian C. Black, Matthew Carlton, and Barbara St. Andre. And the Public Weighers, Brendan Healy and Sean Good. Need me to repeat any of those? All right, so that's the motion.
Second.
Motion made, second. You gonna go back to the traffic committee?
I am. I'll circle back and make a separate motion.
Okay, you want to make a separate motion?
Yep.
Okay. Any further comments on this read by the clerk, Mr. Lockren? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0. Mr. Lockren.
So in a topic not anticipated by the chair, I'm asking that the select board consider the appointment to the traffic committee, Michael Lochran as the voting member and Patricia Boyden as the non-voting member. So Mr. Theodore was the voting member for the traffic committee, and the traffic committee hasn't met in a while. And if we don't make this appointment tonight, it's probably June because they won't meet before town meeting's over. So it'd be late May or early June, and there have been several traffic requests for the traffic committee that we should look at. So I don't want to push that off anymore, and we would be meeting before the next select board meeting. So that's why I wanted to make this change tonight. So are there any questions on that? Everybody understand? All right.
Are you all right?
Yeah, we chatted.
Welcome aboard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. So I make a motion that we appoint to the traffic committee Sergeant Sean Good, Alphonse Coca, Heather Cahill, Kathy Gibbs McCormick, James Quigley, Jordan Jones, Matthew Isaacs, Michael Lochran as the voting member, and Trish Boyden as the non-voting member to the traffic committee.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion, comments, concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lochran.
Oh, I'm out of water.
Take a drink.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Hold on.
Next one.
All right. Should go a little faster here. All right, so next we have the, consider the appointment of firefighter Ryan Lamb. So with the recommendation of the fire chief and the human resource director, I move that the board appoint firefighter Ryan Lamb.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any comments, questions, concerns? When's he gonna start, Mr. Duty?
I do not, but I will add that this is a civil service appointment. So Mr. Lamb was highest on the list and therefore offered the job.
Hopefully he can start sooner the better. All those in favor, I'm sorry, go ahead.
One other question. So is he from Canton or from a neighboring community?
Ryan Lamb is not from Canton.
Okay.
The civil service, we like to, but it's a
Okay.
guest. If we weren't a civil service town, then it'd be different.
He's from
Just like-
Stoughton.
Yeah. Here, no other comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor of the appointment of Mr. Lamb, say aye.
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 Opposed? No, I didn't say. Go ahead, Mr. Lochran.
No, I'm looking at the Parks and Rec thing. This is like 70 names here.
I think we can vote that.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Most of them are returning employees. We have a standing practice.
Oh, yeah, almost all of them are.
If they, the people, the kids, the children, the young adults we hire do a good job.
Taylor Albert?
Yeah, we,
You'll have to recuse yourself.
we recommend them, they come back if they work successfully. And that's by the recreation director, correct?
Yes, yep.
Mr. Albert needs to
Yeah.
recuse himself on this vote.
At the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Director and the Human Resource Director, I move that the board approve appointment of seasonal parks and recreation staff for the aquatic staff, camp staff, and maintenance staff as listed. And Laurie, if we can just post that in the minutes, all those people.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 4-0-1. And for the record, Mr. Albert excused himself and is not in the room. Mr. Lochran.
At the request of the fire chief, as the patient is deceased, I move that the board approve the fire department abatement request in the amount of $1,500.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the abatement of $1,500 due to the passing away of the person? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Next, Mr. Chair, we have the personnel action form for the board secretary to the procurement audit committee for Allison Neff. So, Mr. Duty, do you want to give an update on this, or do you want me to?
Sure, yeah. So this is the secretary for the procurement audit committee. Folks know it as the police audit committee. Spoke with town council about this, and he strongly urged the committee to have a board secretary from the first meeting. Due to the importance of the committee and of course the public scrutiny that this committee is going to be under, he really felt strongly that we needed to have someone there who was able to focus on taking the minutes. The board members shouldn't be trying to do it and also participate in the meetings as well. So that on that advice, we wanted to move forward with appointing Allison, who's experienced secretary. She's the secretary for the CPC. We did advertise the position internally, as we always do, and Ms. Neff applied for it and is well qualified to do it. Also had a discussion with the chair and with the finance director, and we're aware that there is a lot of concern for making sure that the entire $200,000 that was authorized at town meeting is available for that committee to do its work. So you all, you've indicated that you're willing to pay for the secretary out of the select board reserve fund, which has a healthy balance because snow and ice wasn't very.
So the entirety of the $200,000 will not be touched.
That's correct.
Okay. That's what we want. Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Hi, Brenda Sweeney. I was just wondering why, if the board, it's the procurement committee itself is volunteer, why wouldn't that function be volunteer?
Why wouldn't it be? It's a great question. A lot of our committees are, the secretaries are paid positions and they're performed by municipal staff. It's a practice. I don't know the reason why it exists, but that it's a fairly common practice for the committees to have a secretary.
But the whole 200,000.
It's not going to be touched.
Whole thing.
$200,000 will not, because that's very important. The board saw fit, Mr. Duty, Mr. Scollins, and myself as acting chairman. Mr. Lochran.
I move that the board approve of the personal action form for board secretary to the procurement audit committee for Allison Neff.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0.
Next, Mr. Chair, I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the following donations to the Beautification Committee for Cleanup Day: $100 from Alan Rappaport, $250 from B&G Restaurant Supply, and $500 from Draper Properties.
It was quite a success Saturday. Thank Mr. Sullivan and his crew. We were down there, myself and JR and a bunch of volunteers behind. I was lucky enough to put the hamburgers and hot dogs in the buns, and anyone that fell on the ground, I had to eat. So there was many that hit the ground. So, but it was, we got there around 11:30, 11:45, and I think the last folks left about 1:30, 1:45. So it was nice. The rain started to come right about that time, the heavy rain. So it was successful. And I saw the truck from the Department of Public Works with all the yellow bags. And I know Miss Boyden, I saw her down there and sneaking a couple hamburgers. So I'm kidding. But it was, I want to thank all the volunteers for their hard work. It doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you. Mr. Lochran.
So there's a motion already.
Second. There's a motion. Thank you. Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Next, I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the grant of $50,000 from Outfront Media for Shawmut and Route 95 locations.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0.
Next, I move that the board approve the cemetery commitments in the amount of $575.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
The item number 12, the gifts.
Mr. Lochran.
Skip one.
Water and sewer.
No, just did the gifts? Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all right.
Yep, sorry. Somebody was questioning my clerkdom. I move that the board approve the water and sewer commitment residential in the amount of $3,230,000, $3,230,169.74.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions, comments, concerns about the water and sewer residential? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0.
Next, I move that the board approve the water and sewer commitment final bills in the amount of $8,666.44.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0.
Next, we have the vendor warrant total for the week of 3/15/2024, $3,617,633.05. The payroll warrant total for the week of 3/15/2024, $292,829.23. The vendor warrant total for the week of 3/22/2024, $1,724,456.84. The payroll warrant total for the week of 3/22/2024, $1,518,192.87. The vendor warrant total for the week of 3/29/2024, $2,396,332.84. The payroll warrant total for the week of 3/29/2024, $308,119.93. The vendor warrant total for the week of 4/5/2024, $796,447.44. And the payroll warrant total for the week of 4/5/2024, $1,516,513.56.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chair, in another topic not anticipated, we have a request for the Kennedy Fieldhouse regarding an irrigation repair, and I will defer to Mr. McCord on this.
Yes, Mr. Chair, in town, we have a little issue on the field house. We're coming down to the 11th hour. Project's almost complete. We have to do some landscape and some painting of the building, get the stands back up. In the process of this project, we've had little setbacks here and there with the funding of the project. When we first went out with this bid, we had the exact amount of money to fund the project without a contingency. BRC in its past history usually doesn't go ahead with a project without a contingency, but the 7-year task of the Little League trying to get this facility built and all its fundraising and going to different boards asking for money, it's come short on a little problem we have with the irrigation and the cleanup, which was unforeseen. During the construction, things happen. In this particular project, we marked out pretty much a lot of the irrigation that was there. The irrigation takes care of all the fields down there. Well, the sewer line and electrical line kind of interfered with our irrigation. In the main irrigation, and a lot of the wires got hit, and it wasn't necessarily the contractor's fault or recreation or the irrigation markings. One particular area, they had put cones down and somebody moved all the cones. So that presented a problem, and it happens, what have you. That's why we usually ask for contingencies on all these projects so that we have the money to take care of this. So the BRC met at the field on Friday, myself, Bob McCarthy, with the Canton Recreation Director, and the irrigation. Who else was there? There was one other person there. But we basically went over the problems of the irrigation and what we need to do to get it up. And when I say we're in the 11th hour, Little League wants to stop playing. Already we've moved the parade away from the Kennedy because we can't have the opener there, but we can't waste any more time, and we want to get this going ASAP, as in tomorrow. So I reached out to Little League and I reached out to the contractor, me and myself, the BRC, and they came up with some money. They came up with $10,000 between them to help us mitigate this issue. And with that, we still have a shortfall up to about $20,000. Our repairs and the money we need to get this project done are approximately 25, but we want to have a little extra just in case we have a last minute glitch. So on behalf of this project and the BRC, I would request that the select board release up to 20,000 in mitigation to get this project completed, and let's move on to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. McCord. Any questions for Mr. McCord?
No.
Thank you, and thank you for your hard work. I know this is
Thank you.
been trying, it's been going on for years. Thank you, Mr. Lockron.
So I make I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Good,
I make a motion that the select board authorize up to $20,000 from mitigation for the Kennedy Fieldhouse irrigation repair.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any further comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lockron.
Next, I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the select board meeting of March 12th, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 4-0-1.
I said it. I said aye.
No, because you weren't here. So 4-0-1.
Oh,
That's okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought I got you approved
There you go.
anyway.
You're good.
You understand? You're all right? Okay.
I got you.
Okay, I just want to. Thank you. 4-0-1, yeah. Thank you.
Next, we have the town administrator update. Mr. Duty?
Yes, sir. So it's been a long meeting, so I'll only give you two. How's that?
Good.
All right.
You're making me feel bad.
The first one, I just want to let the board know and the folks at home know that I had mentioned previously the supervisory training that HR Director Jody Middleton had organized. So that was completed. It was planned and organized by Jody. It was completed on Thursday. 24 employees with supervisory responsibilities completed the training. The topics that they trained on were roles and responsibilities of a supervisor, communications and feedback, respectful workplace, conflict and inappropriate behaviors, planning, organizing and delegating, and performance management. So all really good topics for folks who are aspiring to be department heads and supervisors. So it was conducted by the Edward J. Collins Center for Public Management, which is out of what college? UMass Boston. Yeah, UMass Boston. Jody Middleton plans on building on this program during the next fiscal year, and we'll delve into the topics of team building and succession planning. So very positive feedback from all those employees that attended. It was very well done. So kudos to HR. And then lastly, I'll just update you all on the sale of 50 Copperworks, Unit 104. So as you know, that two-bedroom condo was conveyed to the town as part of the Paul Revere Heritage project. The RFP was released. When you sell the condo for a municipality, it's a little bit different than if you sell it personally. So there's a lot of regulation and restriction on it. So we had to do an RFP for the sale of that unit. We gave that RFP to the Realtor, who held the first of a series of open houses last weekend. Had about 10 groups of buyers go through, 4 groups of residents who were curious about the unit and the layout, and there have been 2 private showings. So the deadline to submit a bid for the purchase of the unit is April 26th. So folks who are interested will take the RFP, complete it, and then submit it to the Realtor. And on April 26th, we'll do a public bid opening and find out who was the highest bidder, as opposed to the lowest bidder with typical RFPs. So hopefully we get some good results there. And on April 30th, I'll be able to hopefully update you that the unit has been sold.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lockwood?
Next, we have some clerk announcements. Number 1, the following is an important announcement regarding the Canton Electricity Choice Program. All eligible Eversource residential and business customers should have received by now in the mail an information package, including an opt-out notice and reply card. Official program materials include the town seal on the envelope. Please review these materials, choose your preferred option, and take applicable action by May 6th. The following information sessions will be available if you have questions. Canton Senior Center on Friday, April 12th, 2024, starting at 1 p.m. The Canton Public Library's Community Room on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024, starting at 7 p.m. You can also log on to the program website at cantonelectricitychoice.com or call 1-844-202-6101 for additional information. And just for anybody who was asking what the rate change was, When Mr. Duty signed the contract, it was just over 13 cents compared to 17 cents a kilowatt hour for the supply. So quite a savings locked in for 2 more years. And then I have a couple of announcements from the DPW. So first, night road work will tentatively begin Saturday, 4/21 from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Paving and road work will start at 455 Washington Street to 801 Washington Street and will include paving of Church Street. Night paving and road work will continue until the project is complete. Night paving and road work date are subject to change and our weather permitting. So this is just that second phase of the
They
Washington
ran out
Street.
of time in
Yeah.
November.
You want to give them the landmarks
They, from
Snetsky's down to Town Hall, basically.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah.
those addresses are.
Okay.
Tri-Town Mall, well, the Village Mall now, they ran out of time because in November, we couldn't get the materials to finish it. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't that. I take that back. It was the castings for the sewer covers and the waters.
Yeah.
They were a supply chain issue. I know everyone uses that, but unfortunately, we had to postpone it.
So this phase of the road work is from Stanetsky Funeral Home all the way down to Town Hall. Second item, the Town of Canton 2024 Household Hazardous Waste Day for Canton residents only will be held Saturday, May 25th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is at the DPW garage on Bolivar Street, 150 Bolivar Street. This is for Canton residents only and proof of residency is required. For complete details and pricing, please see the news and announcements on the main page of the Town of Canton website. Cash or check is accepted. There are no debit or credit cards and no commercial companies are allowed. Next, the 2024 Canton Rain Barrel Program. Rain barrels help conserve water and reduce stormwater runoff. The Canton 2024 Rain Barrel Program and the Great American Rain Barrel Company is offering rain barrels to Canton residents at a discounted price. To find out more about the barrels and to participate in the Great American Rain Barrel Program, please visit thegreatamericanrainbarrel.com/community and select Canton. Barrels are offered for $89. They will be available for pickup on Saturday, May 25th from 9:30 to 11:30 at the Canton DPW yard at 150 Bolivar Street. The deadline to purchase a rain barrel is May 12th at midnight. Almost done. The transfer station at 99 Pine Street, the spring, summer, fall hours of operation. So starting on Monday, April 8th, so yesterday, to Saturday, 12/21/2024, the Canton Transfer Station Pine Street facility will be open Monday through Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. for Canton residents only to dispose of overflow household trash, overflow household recycling, and household yard debris, brush and grass clippings. Canton Transfer Station, 99 Pine Street, is not for commercial use. And then finally, the 2024 yard waste is for Canton residents only, proof of residency required. The yard waste stickers are $20 each, cash or check only, no debit or credit cards are accepted. The yard waste stickers are available at the transfer station on Pine Street or the DPW office on the lower level at Memorial Hall. Select Board will hold its next meeting on Tuesday, April 30th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Sala Meeting Room, Memorial Hall, 801 Washington Street. Next, we have the public comment period for 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Lochran. And just for the record, the public comment portion of the meeting is an opportunity to listen to residents' feedback and concerns, but the public comment portion of the meeting is not meant to be a question and answer format. There will be no response to any public comment when presented. The public comment portion of the meeting is limited to 15 minutes total and 3 minutes per speaker. I would encourage those that do not wish to speak to be mindful of others in the room who wish to do the same, so that we can make the most of the time allotted and hear from as many people as possible. Anyone who does not wish to speak or who is unable to speak due to the time limit may submit their comments in writing to the board's review, for the board's review and consideration. Thank you. Anyone like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Wexler, and I live here in Canton. And I want to extend a very warm invitation to the Earth Day event, the 4th annual Earth Day event, which will be on Saturday, April 27th. It will not conflict, but it will dovetail with the Little League Parade. It starts at 12 noon and it'll go till 4 p.m. It's going to be across the street from the Canton High School. And the Canton High School Climate Action Club is one of our co-sponsors. So it'll be at the Mass Audubon. This event is a family-friendly, educational, interactive event. And many of the issues that were mentioned tonight, such as the rain barrels, how to recycle, how to retrofit your home in terms of decarbonization, the issues that NEPRA brought up tonight. So we want to invite the select board to attend, and we want to really encourage all Canton residents. This is a community engagement event. The Canton Electricity Choice will be represented there, so if you have questions about that, it'll happen rain or shine. So we hope that everyone will get to really enjoy this event and have some both indoor and outdoor exhibitions. And we have about 25 exhibitors. So please come and enjoy the afternoon. We welcome you.
Thank you, Ms. Wexler. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none. Look for a motion.
I move to adjourn at 8:56 p.m.
Second?
Motion been made and seconded, 8:56 p.m. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's 5-0. Thank you very much and have a
Thank you.
great evening.